Today we're going to be working on adding fractions with different denominators. Follow along as I solve a few simple problems. First one we're going to work on is 2/3 plus 4/5. So notice that these fractions have different denominators. If we look at the fraction, the top part of the fraction is always going to be called the numerator. Going to label that. The bottom part of the fraction is called the denominator. We cannot add fractions that have a different denominator. That's a big no-no. So watch and see how I'm going to tackle this problem. So first things first, I'm going to draw a little line right here. We're going to take that original problem and we are going to write it vertically, going up and down. So look how we do it. Do it this way, 2/3 plus 4/5. And we're gonna set it up just like this. Put our little equal signs and our little equal signs here. Now, we need to get common denominators for 3 and 5. So the way we're going to get our common denominators is we're gonna do something called finding the least common multiple. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's line them up right here. I'm going to do a little T-chart for the 3, and then I'm going to do a little T-chart for the 5. Look over here. So when we're finding multiples, we are simply counting by that number. So when we find the least common multiple, we first find the multiples of 3, and then we find the multiples of 5, and see what's the smallest none that they have in common. So multiples of 3, we count by 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, etc. So now let's do the same thing for 5. Let's find the multiples of 5, counting by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And I'm going to stop there. Now, if you notice, there is a multiple that the 3 and 5 have in common. Look over here. They have a 15 in common. I'm going to circle that 15. That is the multiple that they have in common. So that 15 is now going to become our new common denominator. So I'm going to write it as such. I'm going to write our new common denominators next to our original denominators, okay? So now the next step is to come up with our numerators, the top numbers. So look over here. Let's look at the top fraction, which is 2/3, right? We have an original denominator of 3 and the new one that we created of 15. So we got to ask ourselves, how do we get from 3 to 15? We're always going to multiply to get there. That's a hint. We're always going to multiply. But what do we multiply by? 3 times what gives us 15? And the answer to that is 3 times 5 gives us 15. So then whatever we do to the denominator, we must do the same thing to the numerator. So if we multiply the denominator by 3, we must do the same thing to the numerator. So now we have 2 times 5, it gives us 10. And look over here, we just created a new fraction, 10/15. So let's go to our bottom original fraction, which is 4/5. So let's look at our original denominator of 5 and our new one of 15. How do we get from 4 to 15? Once again, it's always going to be multiplication. 5 times what gives us 15? 5 times 3 gives us 15. And then whatever we do to the denominator, we must do the same thing to the numerator. So we're going to multiply the numerator by 3 as well. 4 times 3 is going to give us 12. Look over here. We have 2 brand new fractions. So we're going to take our numerator from our new fraction and our numerator from our other new fraction, and we're going to add them together. Look what we're going to do. Bang, bang. 10 plus 12 gives us 22. We keep our denominator of 15, and look what we have here. We have a problem. We created a fraction with a numerator that's bigger than a denominator. This is called an improper fraction. We always have to simplify improper fractions. So how do we do that? We divide. So we look at our denominator of 15 and we ask ourselves, how many times does a 15 fit into the 22? If it's one time, so we're going to write a big old 1. And then what's left over? 1 times 15 is 15. To get from 15 to 22, we have 7 left over. So 7 is going to be our new numerator, and we keep the denominator. So look over here. We have our final answer right here. 2/3 plus 4/5 gives us 1 7/15. So we finally went through it. We solved the problem. Let me know what you think in the comments.